how to use our calculator to calculate the standard deviation for a sample. So here I have a sample of the weights of 11 players randomly selected from the Seattle Seahawks. And what I have on the left here is an Excel sheet that shows you that if you want to use the formula to manually calculate that standard deviation, it's quite tedious because the first thing that we need to do is calculate the sample mean, which previously we found was 231.1 pounds. And then what you need to do is take each of your data values, see how far away each one is from the mean. So here we can see that a player whose weight is smaller than the mean, that difference is going to be negative, and then a player whose weight, like 235, which is greater than the mean, that distance is going to be positive. So then what we do with those distances is we square them so that all the values that represent how far away each player's weight is from the mean weight ends up being positive. And so then that's what this part of the formula, what that means, x minus x bar squared. And then this symbol here tells us to add them all up, sum it. So when we get that sum, we're going to divide it by the sample size minus 1 and then take the square root of it, and you'll see that that gives us a sample standard deviation of approximately 43.86 pounds. But there's a much easier way. So if you go to your calculator, press Stat, we're going to edit our data. So because I have stuff in L1, I'm going to actually type this into my list called L2. So if we go back to our data here, let's go ahead and type in those weights, 189, 254. So go ahead and take out your calculator, and work along with me here. Let me redo that, 254, 235, 225, 190, 305, 195, 202, 190, 252, and 305. So once I have my data typed in, I'm going to go back to Stat. This time I'm going to choose the second tab called Calc, and we're going to do a one variable stats. So one variable stats going to ask you the list where you saved your data. So because I saved it into L2, I'm going to press second and the number 2 to give me the L2 list. And then when we press calculate, you'll see that above here it gives you the sample mean. So that's where the 231.1 pounds came from. And then here you'll see that SX, that represents the standard deviation for our sample, which is 43.86, which is what we would have gotten if we calculated this manually. So that's how you use your calculator.